Okay, guys, I got a special update for you. This is actually going to be a video for people who are either facing court dates, who either had something stolen from you through false accusation, through courts, through all kinds of stuff, or for just people in general that you are facing a battle that is so strong and you just sense that there is a lot of darkness wrapped around it, but at the same time, you have some type of hope. So this message is going to be for you, and I want to give you an update. If you follow me on TikTok and YouTube and all that at TCLN Network, then you know exactly who I am. You know my message, you know how I talk, you know how I flow. Okay, now let me get to it. So you guys know I've made multiple videos concerning police or concerning any type of things that are going on that is in just false accusations of attacks, targeting, all that kind of stuff. Now, I also recently made a video about ICE and the ICE protests in light of RENEE Good, you know, who was, as far as we know of, who was terminated by the ICE agent in Minneapolis, right? So I made a video that I would love for you guys to go see. It's called RENEE Good, Are These Protests Staged? The reason why it would be good for you to go see that, because then you will understand this video. But anyway, let me get started with this one, okay? So I mentioned yesterday in that video, it's an insert. So it's a whole episode, but I had to insert something because I was given an update, and I'm giving another update today. So I had a court date yesterday and I had a court date today. Now, I did go to court for this, and I do want you guys to see that really, truly life is good and the eternal source is good. So they let it go. They dismissed it because she said it was basically unjustified and that they needed, you know, she did watch the footage and she did see that what was done was wrong. So I'm proud about that. But if you go watch my previous video, you're going to see why this came into discussion anyway, because there was some false footage found, all kind of stuff going on. But I really want to talk to you guys today because what that led me to is that led me to these protests that are going on, right? So that's why I discussed that and made that video. And that video is already up there. I kind of don't want to reiterate it. I want to stick to right here. And it began to help me to recognize is that I really believe that there are a lot of people that have had cases famed on them, that have had. See, today we have all this social media, all these cameras, all this stuff, and you can kind of look at stuff, right? Everybody's a filmmaker today. Everybody knows editing today. Everybody knows how to study footage today. But back then in the 80s, 90s, and all of that, people didn't have that unless you worked in the field. And the majority of people didn't. Because the majority of people you see on social media today, they just simply didn't have access to all this stuff, right? So if somebody came up with some footage and they altered it, you wouldn't be able to detect it as much. And even if you did, how could you prove it? It's your word against somebody else's word. But in today with social media and all the stuff we have, all the tools we have, it's a little bit different. Now I want to talk to you because after going through this event and experiencing this, it really got me to thinking, you know, just life experience, period. Because I've been through it many years, targeting and all that kind of stuff. You know my stories. They're up there on YouTube. But it really got me to thinking when that fame footage was up there yesterday. I said, you know what? I said, there's probably a lot of people during the 80s and just different times that had cases found on them. If you go see my video at TCLN Network YouTube, the first trailer video you will see is me up there talking about the police, right? And I don't talk about them in negative ways too much. I try to talk about them in ways that educate people because when I grew up, I kind of had some police officer friends too. So I kind of keep that in mind, that I did have, you know, some people to help me and along the way and stuff like that. But I had a lot of bad. So, but it got me to really thinking. I remember one time staying on the streets and I got targeted. That's up there too. And I was in college. I was going to performing arts school. I've also been to what's called journalism school. They got jealous, tried to prevent me, wouldn't let me, you know, finish or whatever. But nonetheless, I still have the skill set. And while I was on the streets, what ended up happening is that I got what they call they came up with me with a criminal trespass. So they knew it wasn't even about sleeping on the streets because there was a whole bunch of people out there and we were sleeping in a tunnel. So you know how you sleep in a train tunnel to stay cold from the warm? It was a whole bunch of people out there. They didn't want any of those people. They didn't want any of them. They wanted me. And they were targeting me because I had a major play to do coming up in 2 days. So I remember, and I'll tell you the story, it's up there. They came and targeted. I remember when I first went for the audition, when I was performing art school, they said, don't get on that train, broad daylight. I thought something was wrong. I said, why? They said, because you can't have success. It's not for you. Sit down, And these were officers. One was Black, one was Latina. And I was like, wow, because I never heard cops come at people like that, right? So I just told them, I said, well, sir, I'm going to get on the train anyway. I haven't committed a crime, so I'm just going. So anyway, I went, long story short, I got on the train. And what ended up happening, I remember just this fighting, this beating, this spiritual, just beating in the body. And just this thing, you ain't going to get it. You ain't going to get it. And I really thought that I was not going to get the part that I went to go audition for. Everybody was beginning to notice my talent. And I really didn't think I was going to get it. And so I left after the audition and went on by my business. But I think maybe 2 weeks later or something like that, I had got an email that not only had I gotten the major role that I applied for, they cast me for a few other roles. And so I was excited, you know how we'd be excited, this and this and that, especially if you're going through a very hard time. And what ended up happening is that I went through rehearsals, I did all this stuff. And by the time I got ready to get to time to perform, it was going to be at a major theater. So it was going to be at the Garland Theater. Garland Theater at that time, they was revamping it, redoing it. And so they were expanding it. So it was going to be a very big audience there. And they pulled the snatch. That's when they came in. It was about maybe 3 or 4 in the morning. And they had all the people around. They touched none of them. They did not want them. They wanted me, and all because the targeting. And so what I found out about targeting has nothing to do with your skin color. A lot of people think that targeting has something to do with your race. That's to make it feel good. That's to make it feel better. That's to make people feel better about the evils that they are doing. Instead of people saying that we are targeting you because you're trying to achieve something, and we don't want to see you achieve something, or we're trying to rob you of something. Let's just say you're working on a project. This happened to many, many people. They could have been working on a project, working on a new book, working on this and this and that, and all of a sudden they just started getting targeted. You understand what I'm saying? So people fail to realize that targeting, they want to wrap it around race. They want to wrap it around your skin color. People don't care about your skin color. People are sexing people the same race. People are drinking out of wine cups with the same race, making money with the same. Nobody really cares about that. They just want you to care about that. They want to get rid of why it's really so, which is to, like a lot of people be talking about destiny swapping. I don't call it destiny swapping. I call it theft. It's spiritual theft. There are things that belong to you. So when you're born into this earth, no matter who you are, there are things that are assigned to you. And there are things that belong to you. Like you're not here by accident. There are things that belong specifically to you, that are signed specifically to you. They want to rob you of that, and they want to steal those things from you. And so targeting is a form of doing that. Constricting you, locking you up is a form of keeping you from progress. Trying to make you sick in the body or in the mind or doing things to you, that's a form of theft. Do you understand that? So people call it destiny swapping. Let me give you an example that it's not destiny swapping. Can I hook you up? Because I once was saying that word too. And then life or the Spirit of God just had to bring me to the truth. Number one, in order for you to swap something, you have to agree to swap. So let's just say I'm Janice and you're Tamika. And let's just say, hey girl, I saw that dress you had on last Sunday. Girl, I thought that was bad. I wish I had one, girl. I'm like, girl, that old thing, girl, you want that for real? Be like, but you know what? I saw that hat. See, and you know that hat you had. So if you give me that hat, then you can have this dress. You're swapping, you're exchanging, right? And you're equally doing it. You're upfront, you open about it, you're honest about it, and you're making an exchange and you're doing a swap because you're not making a sale, you're not buying, you're actually swapping. Give me what you got and I'm going to give you what I got. That's a swapping. So when people go around talking about destiny swapping, if someone is plundering something from you by force, if someone is taking something from you unknowingly and you're not aware, if someone is doing all these things, you are not destiny swapping. That is called destiny theft. So understand the difference. There's a difference between destiny swapping and destiny theft. Do you understand that? A lot of people think things are swapping. In order for you to swap something, understand what swapping is. You have to agree, number one, and have number two, there has to be a swap. And I don't think no one on the face of this earth that the creator has ever showed you what your destiny is, that you're swapping it. Sorry. So that's the wrong term that people are using. It's literally called stealing. It's called theft. That's why it says the thief comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. You understand what I'm saying? It's not destiny swapping, is theft. Swapping is a cute little word to make it sound okay, to make people feel good. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when things are being done by force, when things are being done by manipulation and coercion and fake case, all this kind of stuff, and trying to hold people down, it could be anything. That is something that's not swapping, that is theft. Now, you can swap now and not knowing that you swapping. Let me give you an example on that. So life began to make me aware. There was this dude that ran up to me. He said, "Oh, I see your show and stuff like that." Like he didn't say like I see it, but he do see it. There are people who see things spiritually and they see you spiritually, but they don't admit that they see you. So it's something like that, right? So he was like, you do such and such and such, he was like, I do that too, which I know he don't, because I try to do things that are unique into me. And he was like, I can work with you and we can do this and I can help you move ahead, But in my mind, I was first like, yeah, yeah. Because, we quick to want to help people and show people stuff. And then I thought about it, my spirit prompted me, no, that's what you call theft. It's another form of destiny theft. So somebody comes along, pretends that they want to help you move forward. Do you understand that? And their only means is to rob you. And this is how they rob you. This is how destiny swapping come into play. Because you don't understand that this is a spiritual thief. You just don't know it. But it's posing as someone to help you. But if you are not careful, you say, okay, come aboard. We work together. We do this thing together. But their motive is different and your motive is different. And then they come aboard. Let me show you the two different things so you guys can understand. Then they come aboard. Pay attention. I want you to pay attention. So what they're doing is they're making it look like they're helping to move you forward, but their goal is to spiritually steal from you. They want to learn your blueprint, learn what you're doing, learn everything you do. Then they want to contribute just one or two couple of little things, but you're the one putting in everything, showing them everything, expounding everything, and they supposed to be helping you, and they adding just a few little things. Then all of a sudden they start making things go bad for your life. They start attacking you. They start making you look bad. They start dragging your life down. And then all of a sudden they act like they was working on the project with you and that they were a part of it and that you had some type of partnership. And then that's how theft is involved. And it makes it look like, hey, I was on this with you. Part of this is mine. So then they start demanding what doesn't belong to them. That's why you got to be careful. You got to be careful. And then people be like, they destiny swap with me. To an extent they did because you agreed for the thief to come on. But when you don't agree for the thief to come on, the thief is not destiny swapping. The thief is stealing. Because you let people know, no, I'm going to wait until I get the right partnership, the right this, or the right person, or the right that. But then they so adamant that they want to take from you. So they watch you and they steal from you anyway. So that is not destiny swapping. That's called destiny theft. There are people who are just stealing. They're stealing. They're just stealing. And they're trying to harm you in the process. It could be fake cases. It could be all kind of stuff. And this is why you guys need to be aware, okay? Because don't get these terms, these pretty little terms that people come up with, and you get to falling for the manipulation. All of a sudden, you're getting brainwashed into thinking that you're swapping something. You didn't swap anything. Things were stolen from you. Call it what it is. Do not call a pig a cat, and don't call a cat a horse. Call it what it is. It's theft. So if someone is taking something from you that you did not agree to, it is theft. You understand what I'm saying? And they're not contributing you, they're not honoring you, and they're not paying you, or they not attributing. Let me give you an example. So if I do news show and news commentary, and there's a law I have to go by that if I choose to use someone's content and I'm using it for educational purposes only, and this and this and that, and I can only use a small portion to show, then that's not stealing. I'm going by the law. Do you understand that? But if I just start taking people content, start copying what they saying out their mouth, start doing all kind of stuff, and I'm never attributing them, I'm literally stealing their imprint. There are people that do that all the time. They're stealing your imprint. They're copying your ideas. They're copying your stuff. They're copying this. And then they're trying to secretly get rid of you along the way. You understand what I'm saying? That is not destiny swapping. That is theft. That's what you call spiritual theft. Now, when you be swapping is when you have people out there, they'll try to pretend to come along on your projects. And you have to be careful who you let into your projects, into your stuff. Because what happened is that they learn your blueprint because they watching you anyway. You understand what I'm saying? But what happens is you bring them on, and then what they do is they begin to make people think that they're contributing, that they're making your thing happen, and that they're moving you forward. Then they start working against you and fighting against you. It'd be more than one of them, be that person. That person is the culprit to come in to be the one that set up camp. But it'll be more than one person working against you. And then what happens is they try to lay claim to something that you wasn't trying to agree. You wasn't agreeing to all that mess. You just thought that y'all were going to work together and do a show together. So that's what I mean by, guys, you have to be careful and know the difference, that there's a difference between swapping versus stealing. So people are not destiny swapping. People are stealing. And one of the forms I thought about, and this is why I'm making this, is I really thought about, you understand what I'm saying? I really, really thought about people who have had these fake cases pinned on them, who have been targeted, and who have had footage altered and all kinds of things done. I thought about it. I said, there's no telling how many people's lives have been robbed, guys, have been robbed. You know, I'm very, very thankful today because when I look at this situation that I'm in, you understand what I'm saying, and how people try to use you going through homelessness against you, or your circumstance or your situations, and try to master that against you. I really think about how many people, and I'm not talking about just homeless people you see on the street. People can have apartments, people looking at me, watching me, they can have a job, but how things have been twisted against them to try to steal things from them and to harm them and to keep them down. Or somebody may have stood up for what was right and spoke what was right and done what was right, and people didn't like it. So they brought up fights against you, warfare against you, because you know that if you speak the truth, people are going to make you look like a bad person. People are designed to try to make you look like a hypocrite because you got to look like the one that you're the bad one. There are so many things, guys, so many things. And I remember one time, during that time when I was telling you I was in college and I was being targeted like that, I remember this young lady walked up to me when they took me to the jail. I remember this one lady walked up to me. She said, you know what? And I'll never forget it. She said, you have a chance. And she was basically like saying, you have this chance like that others don't have. And I knew exactly, like, you know how people can say words to you and they don't have to say much to you, but you can feel their spirit and you know exactly what they're saying. Because I was in there for something as simple as that. Even though I hadn't really done nothing, these dudes were just targeting, you know, because like they said, we're trying to keep you down. We're trying to keep you from progress. But that was something simple like that. Some people are in there for stuff, being set up for stuff, being done for stuff. And do you know they got, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, or they got out and then they got like maybe 5 years of probation. And then ever since then, they've been in and out, in and out, in and out. I remember, guys, back in the day in the 80s and 90s when dope was going real rampant, and all the popular like dope dealers, they had their clothes and shows and, cars and all of that. We kind of saw that stuff, right? We saw that. I remember seeing it. You had the big time dope dealers. You had they candy armed girls, and then you had those who they would push to sell the dope. because, you know, the ones at the top, they would never get caught. So they had the neighborhood dudes, criminal dudes, to push the dope. The good dudes, they just had background, so they had to do what they had to do, sell a little dime rock, do a little here, there. And some of them would quit. Some of them wasn't even trying to do it no more. But it was hard for them to get a job, so they would be struggling, all these things they would be going through. And they would be going with some female, right? Or some dude, you know, would be jealous of them. And if people would use them and take advantage of them, and when they didn't want to do what people wanted them to do no more, what would they do? I'm going to call them white folk, have them white folk come pick your black tail up. Why? Because they had a warrant. Not because they were bad, not because they was out there doing nothing. Why did they had a warrant? Because they couldn't afford probation fees. They would be scared to go to jail because they didn't want to be locked up again. So they would just hide out. Like, this was real, guys. We saw this. This no lie. This was real. And people would literally do this to them. They would use fear, manipulation, tactic, control. Dude would be going with a girl, right? And the girl would get jealous. She'd be like, what? What? You over there talking to that female? Nigga, I will call the laws and have them laws to pick your black tail. You know, people did this, y'all. Y'all know I ain't making this up. Y'all know them hoods. Y'all know I ain't making this up. Or let's just say you begin to start changing your life. You trying to work a little, you trying to do good. You understand what I'm saying? People would get jealous of you and call the laws on you, how you set up. We saw that stuff, right? So this is no mystery. This is no mystery. But I want to leave you with this poem today. This is by Dr. Maya Angelou. And I hope that this touch you in whatever cage you are facing today, because that's the cage I was facing. Another cage I'm facing. I face many cages. You understand what I'm saying? Internal, external, many cages. And we have many cages of life. Those cages can be psychological, mental, emotional, spiritual, just cages. You don't have to be locked up in a prison to know that that's a cage. You can be out here in the world. You can have all kind of money and be caged. How many people got so much money? They got all the stuff, but they caged. How many people poor and caged? How many people, they finally got what they wanted? You understand? The success, the power to this. But now they using fear to manipulate them to lose it all. Cage, right? All these cages. How many people, you want to stand up for the truth. You want to stand up for what's right. And then they try to cage you with fear. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose your car. You're going to lose this. You're going to lose that. Cages. All just cages, right? Baby, we can name these cages to doomsday. But anyway, cages. Government, cages. ICE going on, cages. Fake protests going on, cages. Why are those cages? The reason why those are cages is because the people who are really suffering are not really getting the help. And then the people who are out there faking are the ones who be working with the laws, trying to call the laws on you, set you up because they jealous of you and don't want to see you excel, trying to keep you down. Cages, guys. Cages. These cages go on and on and on. They are cages. Do you understand me? Cages on every single level. But how many people know that you can face cages, but you can be that bird that is singing in the middle of these cages? And I want to leave you with this and let you know that no matter what cage you are facing, it could be a court date upcoming. It could be a loss of a family member that you love so much, like a mother or something, and you're mourning. Cages. You understand what I'm saying? It could be you about to get a divorce and it was everything you built a dream on and you're emotionally hurting. Cages. It could be, my God, the list goes on and on and on, guys. I can go on forever, right? It could be you went to a church and you really thought that that was going to be the church and you loved it, you enjoyed it, and you got abused so bad and dogged out. Cages. You understand what I'm saying? These are all traps, snares, and tears along the way in our journey in life. Traps, snares, tears. Even in the Bible, David said, they went before me and they set up a tear and a snare way before me ahead of time. Cages. Do you understand that? So I want to leave you with this poem, guys, and I hope this poem blesses you. This is a poem by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The cage bird sings with a tearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a tearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. I just want to leave that with you. There are people who are caged inside of jails, prisons, institutions. There are people who have been targeted. Don't get me wrong. I know that there are people who commit crimes. There are people who do stuff. You understand what I'm saying? That, listen, if they don't have them bars, honey, they be out here killing, raping, doing all kind of stuff, honey. They be out here. Ooh, it'll be deep, right? Massively deep. But there are those who they caged you. Do you understand that? They caged you because they were jealous, because they were hateful, because they didn't want you to have it. There are those who are sitting out in the world right now, in this world right now, and they be caging you. You be on jobs. They be trying to make you look as horrible as possible. And they be caging you out there. You understand what I'm saying? Because they don't want to see you flourish. They don't want to see you fly. These are cages. They could be all kind of cages. It don't matter what cages they are. You remember the Rodney King thing when they beat that man so badly? I mean, they beat. See, today we got all this AI, all this old crazy stuff. That man got beat for real. Everybody saw that. You understand what I'm saying? Folks got all these fake protests, all this fake stuff be going on. That man got beat for real. That was a cage. That was a cage. And that cage wants you to be angry. It wants you to be mad. It wants you to be internally. It wants you to self-destruct. It wants you to destroy, whether you destroy outward so it can lock you up some more, or whether you destroy inwardly. But how many people know that you can be in that cage, honey, and you can find the good, and you can get the singing? Because this world is a fabricated cage that we are all in. And I want to leave this to you as inspiration that no matter what you are facing, get the singing, honey. Because you know why. Dr. Maya Angelou knew why. The caged bird sings. You guys have a blessed one, okay? Bye-bye. Hope this inspire you. Go over there and check out my YouTube, TCLN Network. Check out my latest videos. I got a few up there, I'm telling you. They're pretty good. I do news education. I don't do all that hypety hype stuff. So I'm not here to gossip, all that stuff. So that's what you want. You got to go somewhere else. But if you just want to listen to educational, learn, that's cool. I got the I got the RENEE GOOD, Are These Protests Stayed? I got the release tomorrow coming out. My first leadership is called TCL Leadership Lens, where I'm following two specific leaders in the United States of America. One out of Texas, because I'm out of Texas. That's going to be Miss Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman. We're going to follow her for this year. She's running for Senate. Also, you need to, I'm going to be following Mayor, New York City, Mayor Zohar Mandami. And those two specifically, because they're over large populations of people, and we get to see their imprint, their leadership. We get to follow them and see, are they doing what they say they're going to do? And we get to learn from them. So go over there and check those two out. And also, if you're looking by TikTok, hook me up, follow, subscribe. You guys be blessed, okay? Bye-bye.